Hey class, this is Mr. V here. This video is dedicated to simplifying square roots. Now, simplifying square roots, there's a major, a lot of students have difficulty with simplifying square roots. They can square numbers with little to no difficulty, but when it happens to go the other way, I generally see students making common mistakes. So this video is going to be used to help alleviate that. Now in this video you're going to see how to simplify two different types of square roots. One where it's rational and the other one where it's irrational. Okay, and I'll help you do that by this video. Alright, so I'm going to give you two examples for rational. Alright, so let's say this. I'm going to give you the square roots of 36. Now, when dealing with squares, to simplify the square root of 36, you ask yourself the question, what times itself gives you 36? So you're thinking of numbers of 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4. What do I multiply by itself to get this? Okay, now what do I multiply by itself to get this? It turns out to be 6, right? Because 6 times 6 is 36. But there's a key thing that I have to put in front of 6 in order to simplify. I'm going to put a positive sign and a negative sign. Okay, so the way I say this is plus or minus 6. Okay, and the reason is because of this. Well, remember, I'm looking at numbers I can get to, that I multiply to get 36. Well, 6 times 6, well that's 36 obviously. They're both positive. But this negative part, if I had a negative 6 times another negative 6, well, negative times a negative is a positive, and 6 times 6 is 36. So that's why we put plus and minus to get 36. Okay, so it's always going to be plus or minus, with the exception of if I had to find the square root of a length, that's where I kind of differ. But for this, it's always plus or minus. Okay, let me give you one more for rational. Alright. What about square roots of 81? So again, you're thinking of numbers that you multiply by itself. There's only 2 of them. So 7 times 7 doesn't work out. That's 49. But for this one, it turns out to be 9. 9 times 9 is 81. And again, do not forget plus and minus, or plus or minus. Okay, so that's rational. These are the easier ones. Let's do an example for irrational. Okay, so let's get, so your first example for this is going to be square root of 20. Okay, we solved these ones a little bit differently. For square root of 20, I'm asking myself the question, what times itself gives me 20? Well, I'll tell you this, from my experience, a lot of students are going to say, you know what, 10. 10 times 10 gives me 20. Not quite. 10 plus 10 gives me 20, but 10 times 10 is 100. It turns out there is no nice number that I can work with to get me to 20. Okay, now this is what you do. I'm just going to draw a factor tree. Okay, so a factor tree is this. I'm going to write 20, and I look for numbers that you multiply to get 20. Okay. Well, starting out, what are 2 numbers that you multiply to get 20? You could do 4 and 5. Okay. And you still try to get these numbers simplified in its simplest form. You want to make them primes. Prime numbers are just numbers that its only divisors are 1 in itself. So 5 is prime, but 4 isn't. I can multiply 2 times 2. Okay, and the key thing with this, so everything is simplified. So I'm looking at 2, 2, and 5. I'm looking at the ends of our branches here from our factor tree. So the square roots of 20, I'm going to put plus or minus. That's never going to change. It's always going to be plus or minus. But I look for pairs. Okay, well, here's a pair. Okay, so you want to think of it like this. Pairs can go outside the square root. So I'm going to draw a square root over here. So since I have 2 2's, that's a pair. I'm going to draw that right over here. And if you don't have a pair, you stay inside the square root. You don't get to come out. Okay, so 5 stays on the outside, or sorry, stays on the inside. So our answer for square root of 20 is plus or minus 2 root 5. Okay, so if that didn't help, let me do another one to help alleviate this problem. Okay, so I'm going to erase this. Alright, let's do the square roots of 72. Now this one's going to be more difficult, and you're going to see why. Well, again, right, the factor tree, it turns out that there is no number that can multiply by itself to get 72, but let's do some factors. Well, 8 and 9, they can both go into 72. Let's break down 8. Well, 8, some factors are 2 and 4. Okay. And you're always trying to look at how can I simplify this even further. Well, I can simplify 4 into 2 and 2. Anything else? Well, what about this 9? Well, 3 times 3 gives me 9. Okay. So again, I'm looking at the ends of our branches. I'm looking at 2, 2, 2, and then these 3's over here. Okay. When you fully simplify, don't forget you want to circle your pairs. Okay, well we have 2 2's over here, and then we have 2 3's over here. Okay. And then we have this other 2 that's kind of by itself. Right? So to simplify this, square root of 72 is equal to plus or minus. Now I said that pairs get to go outside the square root. Okay. But we have a 2 and a 3. What do I do with both those numbers to put them over here? Now, a lot of students think that you have to add. It's actually you have to multiply them together. Okay. When you're dealing with squares or square roots, you always work under the underlying idea of multiplication. So you only multiply here. So, alright, so 2 times 3, well that's 6. So I'm going to write a 6 outside. And what's not a pair? Over here it's a 2. So write 2 inside. So to simplify square root of 72, well it's plus or minus 6 root 2. Alright, that's it. If you need any other help, make sure that you ask me, but for the most part, whether you're dealing with square roots that simplify for rational numbers or irrational numbers, hopefully this helps. Alright, so that's it.